It's a new memory card. We have 1,000 minutes, so let's keep it short.
All right.
We could at least probably try to do half of it. I'm so glad we're back at the Regal now.
Yeah.
Our regular theater. I don't know about you, but when I drove in, I honestly forgot I honestly thought for a second I drove into the wrong parking lot, because since it's been a while since we've been here, because this theater was the last one around here to open, and it's our regular theater. But since it's been closed, they've built this whole apartment complex back there. So I'm like, this looks and feels different. How long was I gone? And then...
A year?
Right. And I'm like, did they freeze some of them inside? Because I walk inside, instantly the guy at the box office.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's been to our channel. He might just recognize me from going to see every movie that comes out. I go in there and the guy's just, welcome back.
Welcome back.
It's a theater in the Overlook Hotel now all of a sudden. Good evening, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, we've been expecting you.
Your money's no good here. I know, that's why I have the unlimited, premium plan on the app. It's great, too. I do have that reward, and so I go up and get concessions, and they're like, oh, right, you have a birthday reward to use, so it's free. I'm like, sweet. My birthday was in December. And the lady goes, I have a feeling a lot of people have birthday rewards coming to them. Anyway, that's us rambling before we get into Wrath of Man, the Jason Statham Guy Ritchie movie. I'm so glad Guy Ritchie's back to doing Guy Ritchie movies again. Yeah. You know, between this and The Gentleman. And I know I remember liking The Gentleman better than you did. We saw that last year. The one with Matthew McConaughey, where it was the gangster movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't love it, but I liked it. And I remember liking it a little better than you did.
Yeah.
I didn't think that Gentleman was one of Guy Ritchie's best, but I enjoyed it, and it was nice seeing him back to doing a kind of gangster movie again, even though I didn't think it was as good as, Lock, Stock or a movie like that. This... I don't know if this is one of his best, but I think it's one of his best in a long time. I had a really good time at this movie.
I did too.
Because it's not just Guy Ritchie back to doing a movie like this, but Guy Ritchie and Statham back together again. And it's cool because it's not really like Lock, Stock, Statham, Guy Ritchie, or Snatch, or Revolver, really, but more like if Guy Ritchie did one of the Statham action movies like The Mechanic or Safe, mixed in with a Statham Grand Theft Auto type movie like Crank.
Yeah.
So you have all of these great worlds of Statham movies all coming together for this film. And I really dug it. It's flawed.
Yeah.
But I had a good time, and I was being carried a lot through the movie, because I didn't see a lot of trailers for it, bits and parts of some, and the movie starts out with this heist in which a few people are killed, and then instantly it goes into Statham joining this armored truck company, because it was an armored truck that was robbed, so Statham ends up joining the company, and you know very little about him at first, so I liked that. I liked sitting there going, okay, I don't know if he's maybe trying to rob this again, or is he working with the people at the beginning? Is it revenge for something that happened at the beginning? I don't know how much the trailer reveals of the movie, but I liked that. I liked following along this story.
I did too.
Like that. And when it comes to knowing more and more about what he is, I like that too. Because at first, when you find out a lot of one key thing of his backstory that had to do with the heist at the beginning, at first I was like, well, that's a little convenient and a little far-fetched, but okay, let's see how this plays out. And I really liked how it played out.
I agree.
Because what it reveals about this character's backstory and what he is, it's one of the coldest, most ruthless characters I've seen Statham play in a
Right,
movie like
yeah.
this. It was cool.
You go into it thinking, oh, is he like just some sort of military or espionage, or is it just like Jason Statham just being his regular badass self?
And you know he's a badass,
Right.
because it does one of those things that like movies like this always do, which it is a compliment because I kind of like it when movies do this because it's always fun. When someone just starts fucking with him, even though they know they shouldn't be fucking with this man, clearly you can tell you should not be a smart ass to this guy.
Yeah.
He is going to do something like punch you or something like that. And there's like one scene where a guy in a pool hall, nothing violent really happens, but it is a guy who's like trying to start shit with him, or it's like, guys, what are you doing? Stop trying to start shit with this man.
Yeah.
He is clearly an action hero.
You know something, I didn't like it as much as you did, but I liked it fine enough.
Yeah.
You know, like I was definitely enjoying myself, and
Yeah.
I was about to pull up the IMDb because I wanted to get confirmation that there was a cameo by Post Malone.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So
I have no clue, but I do like the cast of the movie.
Yeah.
Josh Hartnett's in this. I haven't seen Josh Hartnett in quite a while. Holt McCallany is in this. He's really good in the film. I like it when he pops up. And you see a couple other Guy Ritchie familiars in the movie too.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail this.
I'm so glad these aren't live anymore. The riveting story of flipping through the filmography to see, is that Post Malone in the movie? By God, I am on the edge of my seat, more so than the movie. And we saw it in an RPX theater that has the seats shaking through the heist sequences.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
I guess I
did you think I was just passing gas?
No, I
it
guess
it was partly that in the movie.
I guess I just didn't notice.
That's
I was
okay.
just-
While you were doing this and we were silent, I can do like the movie and add in title cards to say 3 months later. Sorry,
amazing.
the phone's being really slow. It
That's
took
amazing.
months to find this.
Yeah, I guess
But
it wasn't.
I mean, it worked because something there was like, oh yeah, I should talk about Scott Eastwood too. Scott Eastwood was really good in this. He plays a very against type performance in this film, and it's kind of cool because the character Statham plays in this is the type of character where if you took this same story and put it in like a Western, which you could do with a story like this, he would very much be like Clint Eastwood. So it's kind of cool having Scott Eastwood in this movie because Scott Eastwood does look a lot like his dad. I enjoyed that what they did with the characters in this movie. How if you took a character like Jason Statham is playing in this and put him in a different story with a different set of circumstances, 9 times out of 10, he would probably be the villain in whatever movie it is.
Yeah.
And the character that Jeffrey Donovan plays, 9 times out of 10, would be the hero of a movie like this if it were something like The Italian Job or
Sure.
a regular heist movie or
Yeah.
something. But there's this one incident that goes tragic that completely flips it and takes someone like Statham, who probably has a lot of stories in his life where he is the villain, and in Jeffrey Donovan's head is the hero of a film like this.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really clever thing to do with these type of characters.
I'll agree with that. Yeah. Because you know you almost expected certain things from this movie, and then whenever it kind of, I guess you could say it was a twist. It wasn't a really huge twist, but it was
Just a reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of it is shown in the trailer, but it is a movie that does skip around in time a lot, but it does it well. I thought it did it, and Guy Ritchie's good at doing that kind of thing. I thought it led to the mystery of some of these characters, their backstory, seeing different situations from different perspectives and different points of view. There was at least a point to it, as opposed to putting the script in a blender and hitting mix.
Well, and so that's just the thing, though. I mean, I sort of disagree. Whenever I saw them doing the jumping back and forth in this story, I kind of thought to myself, okay, Guy Ritchie, you're not. This isn't Pulp Fiction, you know?
No, but it didn't do it bad, I thought. And it was because all those reveals that we're complimenting this movie about would have been gone if this was told linear.
Really? You think
yeah,
so?
Yeah, it would have, because we would have seen what Jason Statham is before the events in this movie happen, and all that stuff at the beginning where we don't know what his motivation is in joining his company.
Right.
If this movie were linear,
Yeah.
we would know everything going into that setup.
True, but maybe not maybe not like all the jumping back and forth. Like maybe just like one or two flashbacks, and then that would be enough. I think anyway.
I mean, the movie is kind of told in chapters, so again, it didn't bother me in that regard. I've just seen a lot of movies that do something like that for no reason, like the Luc Besson movie. Normally, I really like him a lot, but what was the Hitman movie he did? It was Anna, is that what it was called? It was the one that was kind of like that Blake Lively movie that you and I went to go see, which had a similar problem as that, the rhythm section. Remember that freaking movie?
Yeah. Actually, didn't we see that the same night that we saw the Gentleman?
Maybe we did. I think they were both January movies. You got a better memory than I do on that. But the Luc Besson one was like a year before that, I think, and that was a really obnoxious and exhausting when it was doing things like that.
Yeah.
In this, it would go long stretches before switching gears and showing something from a different point of view.
True.
As opposed to doing it every 5 or 10 minutes or something like that. And so I didn't mind that in this, in the sense that at least I felt there was a purpose for it.
Right, yeah. No, and by all means, I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, this movie pissed me off, man. No, it just, I don't know, I just thought, I guess I just got a little too critical with the jumping back and forth, because I was like, okay, this isn't Pulp Fiction. Stop trying to be Pulp Fiction.
I'll give you this. I don't think it really needed chapter title cards.
That too, yeah.
Like, because when it would flash up, like, whatever the chapter was called.
Bad Animals.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, but like this, you don't really need this. I don't really know what that means. I'll give you that, but but as for it kind of skipping around, I didn't have a problem with that. I did, in the first part of it, the dialogue was very, like...
Yeah.
Scripted. Like, it was really... I don't know how else to put it. Dialogue-y, in that not... Yeah, there's a lot of it, but it's very dialogue-y dialogue, in that what I mean by this is, it's that kind of movie dialogue, especially that you would see in a film like this, where... it probably looks clever on paper.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of it in, like, the first 20 minutes of the movie, where every character is kind of just saying, like, a movie line. Yeah. Especially, like a gangster movie line or a heist movie line, and everyone's kind of doing it.
What I think is weird is that Jason Statham's character starts this job at this armored truck company, and all of his coworkers hate each other. Yeah, and it feels very, like, their interactions with each other, it does feel very scripted. Like, they'll say things like, because they call him H in the movie, so the guy will have a line where he says, H, like Jesus H, well, I guess you do walk on water. Like, it's the kind of line, like, I'm sure it looks good on paper, and I'm sure it felt really good typing it out. But when there's so much of it, it didn't feel natural. That's the thing. Can I admit, whenever they said that line, so what he just said was actually two different scenes. Yeah. And then whenever they and can I admit that whenever he said, I guess you can walk on water, I didn't make that connection until you did.
Honestly, dude, it took me a second too, because I was thinking, because when that happened in the movie, when later on the guy says to Statham, I guess you do walk on water, it took me a second. I was like, oh, right, because of the Jesus H thing. But then I was like, this guy's counting on the fact that Statham even remembers he said that. Because we're watching this and kind of forgot about it in movie time 20 minutes later. And this is like, what, 3-4 days later? Or something. So there's a lot of things like that. But granted, most of that is really kind of just in the first act of the movie. I thought it kind of dropped it as it went on, and the dialogue was starting to sound at least a little bit more natural, and there were less a lot of these one-liners being thrown around, and people trying to out badass dialogue each other. That was an issue I had, but really that was kind of just in the setup of the film.
Right.
And I was glad they kind of laid off of that, because when there are some good lines later on, they did stand out more.
Yeah.
Like, I thought the movie had a hell of a climax.
Yeah.
Like, this heist that it's the climactic thing at the end of the movie, or in the last act of the movie. There are some cool lines in it, like Statham, like Josh Hartnett wanting to come out with a gun. He's like, should I help? And Statham going, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Like, there was cool things like that, where Statham's kind of the Terminator in this film.
Yeah.
And he gets kind of scary. Like, you know how, like, in the last act of the Terminator, where something will happen and, like, part of his face will get ripped off. There's sort of something like that involving a helmet with Jason Statham in this, and it was cool. It was badass.
It was.
I would give it, because I do have some issues with some of the dialogue early on in the movie.
Yeah.
I'd give it like a B+.
B+?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I gave Nobody an A-, and I don't know if I thought this was, I don't know if I liked this as much as I did that, but I did really have a good time at this, and it was cool seeing Guy Ritchie and Statham back together again. So yeah, I'd give it that. Because there were some little issues I had, again, with some of the dialogue and a couple other rather kind of convenient things that happen in the movie. But I do really, really recommend this. This is the kind of movie I'm going to text, like with Nobody, this is the kind of movie I'm going to text my dad and be like, you definitely need to go see this.
Nice.
What about you?
I'm going to slump down just a bit to a B.
Yeah.
I did like it. I just, like I said, my issue with the formatting, like it trying hard to be Pulp Fiction, I was just kind of like, come on, stop.
Is Pulp Fiction the only non-linear movie you've seen?
No, I've seen others. It's just
it's the only one you keep bringing up.
Because it did that. It did just that amount of jumping around.
Honestly, though, I'd compare it more to in the kind of movie it is and the style of jumping around it's doing. I'd say it's more akin to how Reservoir Dogs did it.
I didn't see Reservoir Dogs.
Clearly. Also, I know you've seen non-linear movies. We went to go see the classic The Rhythm Section together.
Right, okay.
Was that non-linear, or did it just do the stupid 3 months earlier thing at the beginning of the movie? I remember it did that.
So.
It's the only thing I can remember about that.
Well, and this one did that too.
No, it didn't.
3 months later,
yeah,
5 months.
It did that 45 minutes into the movie.
Well, true.
It didn't do it in the opening scene.
In the first 5, you mean? Yeah, okay. Okay.
Like, if it were to happen at the end of the movie, would you be like, here we go again? Dude, this movie's been on a long time.
That would be hilarious. Remind me to do that next time.
I will. You should. We're in the RPX theater. They wouldn't have heard you.
Oh, here we go again.
So, B, you give this movie?
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know what the next movie is we're going to go see. I know next week, Saw is next week, or Spiral. And I think Army of the Dead might be next week too.
Oh snap! They remade Army of the Dead?
It's there is like a direct-to-video movie from 2008 called Army of the Dead.
Oh.
I don't think there's a connection.
Oh.
What are you thinking of?
Bruce Campbell?
Oh, that's Evil Dead.
Oh, I thought there was an Army of the Dead.
There is. It's just like a really cheap direct-to-video movie from like 10 years ago. I don't think this has anything to do with that. It's Zack Snyder's new movie.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's based on a comic or not. But yeah, it's Zack Snyder's next movie. I think that'll probably be coming to some theaters around here.
Yeah, I thought Army of the Dead was like an Evil Dead.
Oh,
or something like that.
You're thinking of Army of Darkness.
Okay.
At least I think so.
Yeah. No.
Again, you're thinking of Pulp Fiction again.
Fucking Pulp Fiction. Say what again?
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Take care.